Hello and welcome to Goes to 11 Get Spun. Today I'm going to show you how we make one of our size 3 French blade spinners with a dressed single hook. We're going to use a size 4 Sea-Wash salmon hook. We're going to use some fluorescent pink marabou, and we're going to tie that on with some Superfly super thread in a flat. So I'll start by starting my thread on my hook. And we'll run this down close to where the bend of the hook starts, not quite all the way, because we want the feathers to stick up off the back of the hook a little bit. Probably right about in line where the barb would be. I'll run it back to about the middle of the hook. I'll throw a little bit of bone dry on those threads, lock them in place. Then we'll get our marabou. So I get a pretty healthy pinch off the bottom of the feather for the first little batch. Pinch them. And then I roll them with my fingers a little bit just to get them to bind together a little better. Pull out any loose ones that might be there. And then I leave probably a hook shank and a half length sticking out the back. Pinch it, do a couple of loose wraps on there, and I try to keep everything on top of the hook shank so that it's centered and you get a nice even tail coming off there. I'll bring it back up to about half of a hook eye away from the eye itself. And something I found, if I move my thread back away from where I'm cutting off my waist, I have a tendency not to cut my thread off when I trim my waist off. And then we'll just cover this up a little bit, clean it up a bit. Back to the center again. A little bit more bone dry on that. With light, and then we'll add some more on top of that just to make it a little bit fuller. And this time we're not going to go the full length of the first batch of marabou. Just bring it back so get a bit of a different length in there. Same thing again, a couple loose wraps just to catch it on top. Try to keep everything held there. Thread back up again, and move away from the hook eye. I find if you can twist these without catching your tail section, twist those up a bit before you cut them off. It sure makes things a lot cleaner when you take them off. And now we'll just clean this up and try and cover up all those feathers. Try not to leave any little stragglers sticking out. I like a pretty nice smooth profile when I'm done, if I can get it, without making it too bulky, of course, because this is going onto a spinner. So just an added attractant for the fish. Catch their attention, give you a little extra movement when you're fishing. I'll see if I can't do a little better whip finish on this than my last attempts. Clean that off, then we'll coat that whole thread section with bone dry. Cure it up so it's got a nice hard finish on it. There won't be any chance of the fish biting the threads and coming unraveled. Try not to get any on your feathers when you're doing this, because it'll make a brittle spot. Just a place for them to break off. I think that should do it. Done, you can give it a little pull and see if there's any loose ones. I like to have it so you get some feathers down both sides of your hook bend there. Now if you just bear with me, I'm going to move over to my... So now we'll take a 35 thou stainless steel wire. I'll bend my loop in it. And we'll add a brass weight lure body. Bend that around the top of the lure body to lock it in place. Snip off that excess tail there. I try to leave just enough that it holds my body on without leaving too much hang out there to cause you issues. And then I'll use a 5mm hot pink bead on my shaft. I'll add my shackle, my pink and white with black dot size 3 spinner blade. Oh, mistake there. No. Sorry, not a mistake there. Sometimes I know what I'm doing, sometimes I don't. I make that spin, it'll act as a bearing, that one. Then we'll add an 1/8 inch brass bead on top. We'll twist our loop into the shaft. If you leave a fairly long tail on your V, you'll get 3 or 4 wraps on your loop when you do it. So gives you a nice strong loop. And I forgot to get myself a split ring out when I started this process, so you're going to have to bear with me while I fumble through my mess that I left on my table here. There they are. So we'll add a 1/0 split ring to the bottom of the lure. And I like to use split rings on all of my spinner baits because you can swap them out from a single hook to a treble hook, whatever you got to do depending on the area you're fishing and the rules there. When I put my single hooks on, I always face the hook point away from me. Just a personal preference. That's the way I like the hook to point. When a lure is sitting like that, my hook point faces up. If it rides in the water that way, that's totally up to how the hook decides to go. But anyway, that's how we tie that French blade spinner with the single dressed hook. If you like this video, please click like and follow us on Goes to 11. You can subscribe by clicking the reminder bell, and if you like these products, you can pick them up at fishingandoutdoors.ca and fishingandoutdoors.net. Tight lines, everybody.